Hello and welcome to MtG. I am Vyacheslav, and actually I made a terrible mistake when I made my video about budget Premodern decks, because I missed one iconic, popular and actually very good deck, and if you read the title of this video you understand that that's Blue and Green Madness. And today I show you Blue and Green Madness Tempo deck. Actually I will show you only Tempo version of the deck. Blue and green basic budget one and one with survival, more expensive. Let's start from a description of Madness. Madness is a mechanic, and how it works. Cards with Madness, when you discarded cards, will be exiled. And when from this exile zone you can play it for Madness cost, or just move to graveyard to discard file. So let's start from my current budget list. I show you my cards and then tell you about some difference, some other options. Here you can see the deck. As I mentioned before, it's Tempo deck, so game plan is put into play dangerous creatures. It's easy because we abuse our Madness mechanic and looting mechanic to reduce creatures price, creatures casting cost, and then control the board or deal damage to opponent by these creatures and protect them by counter magic or some tricks. That's how decks work. And now let's look at this card by not by direction from creatures to spells, but by direction from perfect curve. Before, let's me show you important part of the mana curve in Magic decks. It's land. Mana base in my version is deck very simple. It's just 20 basic lands, just 20 lands. 4 of them is not basic, and it's Tropical Island. Oh no, it's even my cost. Sorry, Tropical Island can be better, of course. 10 islands and 6 forests. So simple and actually cheap. And let's start. Our perfect first turn, it's a Careful Study. It's not English card, but I tell you what to do. For 1 blue mana, it's Sorcery that provoke you to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Basically, it's not so good card, because you lost 3 cards to draw 2, but with our powerful mechanics, we will make it better, because we can discard our first Madness creature. It's a Basking Rituala. For 1 mana, just 1/1, can get +2/+2 once per turn for 2 mana. It's helpful because Colossal's a second turn. And Madness cost of Rituala is 0. So when you discard Rituala by some effect, like Study, you play it for 0, fine. You can start the game with 2 1/1 creatures for first turn. Not so bad, yeah, and don't lose just 1 card for this. It's fine because you draw more cards. Sadly, you will not have a Rituala all the time as a starting hand, especially 2 of Ritualas, but you have other options to discard. Of course, you can discard the lands, spells that you don't like by some reason, but better to don't put spells you don't like in your deck. And also to choose optional stuff. First one is Wander. 4 mana, 2/2 flying. Not so good, but when Wander in your graveyard, all your creatures have flying. And it's perfect. Also I like artwork, yeah, it's fine. And second, 2 copies. It's Roar of the Womb. For 7 mana, you can put into play 6/6 Womb token. Again, it's not good effect, but for 4 mana, flashback cost, you can play it from graveyard. So from graveyard it will be 6/6 Womb for 4 mana. So it's fine to abuse this first up. After the second turn, when you already have these guys, you can at the same time go to attack and use ability of Rituala, or stand block with this ability, or play one of your best creature enablers. First one, let it be Akomeba. Not perfect, yeah. For 2 mana it's 1/3, so it can block guys like Jackal Pup or even 2/2 creatures. But for discard the cards from your hand, you can swap power and toughness to this beautiful creature. So if you skip your first turn with Study, you can discard the 12 on the second turn, swap this to 3/1, and block and trade. Or you can go to biggest attack next turn. And best creature in the deck, actually best, it's Wild Mongrel. For 2 mana, 2/2. You can discard the card from your hand, and Mongrel gets +1/+1 at the end of turn. And also you can choose the color of creatures. So if your opponent have creatures with protection from green, actually a rare case in Premodern Magic, but sometimes you can avoid the protection from green. It's really fine, because Mongrel have a lot of tricks. You can discard like 5 cards and he will be 7/7, fine. Of course you will lose your cards, but it's Tempo deck, so you can finish game with stuff like this. And third turn, next one, it will be fine time to play nothing on your turn. I don't mention before, but Madness can be resolved in any moment, so if by some reason you will discard cards for opponent turn, like with ability of Mongrel, you can play for Madness cost anything by instant speed. And also at the end of your turn, when you pass your turn to opponent, in opponent turn you can play Frantic Search for 3 mana instant. Draw 4 cards, then choose and untap 3 lands. Oh, discard 2 cards, and then untap up to 3 lands. And it's really fine. Really fine combo with next card that I show you. Next card that I show you, it's Argent Worm. And before I tell you how works this combination, because it can be some questions about, Madness, when card discarded, card with Madness discarded, it's go to exile. And its trigger to cast it or put into graveyard will be go on stack later, but you can do something like this, like put trigger or cast spells at the moment when you have a spell not resolved in the stack. So when you play Search, discard the lands and Worm, you exile Worm, resolve Search up to end, untap lands, and when with 3 untapped lands, you can resolve this trigger of Madness and play Worm for 3 mana. So in the opening turn you can play Flash for 4 trample creature. It's already fine. Also you can play it by Mongrel abilities in third turn too. But of course best variant it's Search, Worm and maybe Ritual. Or even Search, Worm and Wander to go with flying to attack next turn. At the same moment you already can use your control magic to protect creatures. First one that you can use in first, second or third turn is Daze. Classic tricky counter spell. Opponent must pay 1 or counter spell that cast for 2 mana instant, and you can play it for alternative cost. For 1, return 1 island to your hand. And as you can see, it's important for us to go faster to third land and play this big Worm. Maybe if you have not Worm, you can use it early in the game, on the first or second turn. On the first it's too risky actually. Of course you can play Island, Study and Rutvala, but I'm not sure that it's good to protect Rutvala. So if you want to use Daze in the first or second turn, you must be sure that spell that you counter is too dangerous, and you can even say no to your Perfect Curve. But after this, looks like it's finish fast, yeah? If we have this table and our creatures don't dead, we already have instruments to win the game. Also on the next short turn we can play the Roar's Worm, yeah, 6/6 body. Or we can do it later. Important that now you have a board and need to protect it. Our best counter spell in the deck is a Circular Logic. For 3 mana, counter target spell if spell owner don't pay 1 for each card in your graveyard. Important that this card is not in your graveyard when you resolve it. Yeah. So if you have no cards in graveyard, it's say opponent must pay 0. And it's have a Madness cost. It's our third Madness card. This Madness cost in blue, so with Mongrel on the battlefield or Akumayaba we can counter spell for 1 mana, it's fine. Just don't forget that if your opponent have some grave hate, he can exile your graveyard before resolve the spell and still pay 0. One more counter magic, it's like bad Force of Will, foil. But in Premodern Force of Will banned, so it's just good foil. It have a expensive cost for counter spell. Like you can counter spell for 4 mana, or for discard island 1 card and play it as foil. 3 cards for counter spell is expensive, yes, but if you won the game on this or second turn, or next turn, it's still good to note. And it protects you, and it's absolutely free. You need nothing on the battlefield. Sometimes it can be option when you have not island in hand, but have foil Daze and some other card, to try to counter spell that your opponent play with Daze, even if your opponent can't pay for it. And then use foil with island that you return by Daze. And in some cases it can be even really painful, because if your opponent try to trick your counterspell and at the first play bad card and then want to play good one, he can pay for bad card and don't have a mana for a second, or he can just ignore your Daze, resolve it, and then play good card for a foil. It's really rare case, it's a big mistake for opponent, but it can be possible. Last actually great card, I have 3 copies here, you can see, it's Gush. Just for 4 mana, it's instant. For 5 mana, draw 2 cards. Looks already powerful, right? But it also has the option. As Daze, you can play it for return 2 islands from your battlefield to your hand. So it will be a good foil for your foil, and also a good trick for your Mongrel, because technically you will draw for 0 for nothing. You not pay mana, you just return 2 islands to have. You will draw 4 cards, put your 4 cards in your hand. So if you attack with your Mongrel, have 1 card in your hand, and your opponent have something like beer blocker on the battlefield and a little amount of lives, you can, if it's 6 life, just kill your opponent if he will not block. He will not block, you play Gush and discard 4 cards to deal 6 points of damage. Or also, if you have not Gush, you still can attack with 1 card in hand. And your opponent must thinking about what if you have a Gush, what if you can transform this Gush to 6/6. It can be really tricky and really good mind game against most of the decks. Now go to the one more important part of the deck, it's sideboard. My sideboard has 15 cards. It's pretty basic for many premodern decks. Turn Crypt to exile graveyard. Find blue Hydroblast. And you can use also blue Elemental Blast if you need more copies or if you like to use different cards like this, but I'm not sure it's a good decision actually. I not see any profit in this. Fine against Cabal Therapy, but I not remember the deck when you need Hydroblast and already the deck have a Cabal Therapy. Annul for enchantment and artifacts, looks like actual modern meta. 4 copies of Neutralize, actual again, and I also use 2 Energy Flux, one with white border, sadly. It was my budget deck, but other people use other cards, so I show it for you. I have not this card, so I show just pictures. First one is Deep Analysis. For 4 mana, draw 2 cards, not very good, but from graveyard, when you discard it for one of your loot spells, you can play it for 2 mana, but you need to lose 3 lives. 3 lives and 2 mana for 2 cards, sometimes it's good, but sometimes not so. I don't like this card because some good against control deck starting hand can be just game loss automatically against Sly. Yeah, you can't use some cards or you can use it, but will die quickly from this. But this card is popular actually, people use 2 copies of it. Also, I've seen other looting enablers that help you to use Madness and also give some helpful option. It's Bouncer and Merfolk Looter. A Looter can be actually fine, because you will draw a card each turn, it's fine, especially if you have some Madness effects. But at the same time, it's don't give you good fool for your tempo strategy, because it's not aggressive. Yeah, you can go to attack with Looter, but better to don't do it. It's more like control or mid-range card. And Bouncer is fine, it's great. It's help you at the same time discard a card and make unsummon. You can do it each turn, but it's better in combination with other cool popular card and other deck. I'll show you later. One more interesting card is Intuition. It's slightly expensive, but help you to find good cards for your graveyard and hand at the same time. Also, Threshold Lens is popular. People use sometimes one of them, different, sometimes green, sometimes blue. And again, I think effect of this lens not so good as a price for this painful mana that you can produce with them. And of course, you can find extra some sideboard options like Chill against red decks if you don't announce the blasts, or Saba Swap against manlands, and actually many other blue and green cards that you can find in big amount in Premodern. I will not tell you about all of them, because most of them too specific. It's the most popular card for sideboard that I show you today. And now we can go to... maybe I can say it's an upgrade for Madness deck, but it's actually changed slightly. If this blue and green deck more Tempa version with cards that I show you now will be good in late game and maybe sometimes even want to go to late game. And this is 2 cards that really change this deck and make it actually very powerful. First one is Survival of the Fittest. Not English again, but I tell you what to do. It's enchantment for 2 mana. For green mana you can discard creature card. Search the library for creature card and then shuffle it. Creature will be put into your hand, yeah. So it's fine option. Transform any creature in your hand to tutor. And of course, this card going together with second one. Again, not English in my version, it's Squee, Goblin Nabob. If at the beginning of your upkeep Squee in the new graveyard, return it to your hand. So yes, these 2 cards give you a tutor, actually demonic tutor for creature every turn. 1 green mana, find creature. You also can make some fine tricks like use green mana to discard Squee, find Squee, discard Squee, find second Squee, and then find Wander, I'm not sure. So you can even fill your hand with Squee in the next turn. Maybe it's slightly risky against Gravehate, but it's possible. And when, with this little Squee, you can even make better your Mongrel, because you can discard all Squees from your hand every turn, and Mongrel will be free for 4/5/5 as you want. It's actually a good combo and helps deck to be more, you know, good in the late game. You can refill your hand on any moment. At the same time, you your ideal perfect curve will be not so aggressive, because your second turn can be mixed with survival, not a creature. So you will be not so aggressive in this case, but still for your opponent, it's better to see a creature than survival. It's a really powerful and great card. As I see in the main lists, the successful list of this Survival Madness decks, I'll show you a list later, it gives you option to go to late game, give you option to not be so risky and don't use so heavy control magic like foil, so you can use this deck counter spell or mana leak. It depends on how you believe in your mana base, because counter spell costs 2 blue, it can be hard sometimes. And also mana base of Survival Madness decks all the time has the Wastelands 2, 3 or even 4, and it's also good for late game and for broke your opponent first game plans. And one more feat of this red squee in your deck is sideboard options, Pyrokinesis and Cave-In. First one deal 4 points of damage to Considerate by creatures to kill a lot of elves, goblins or stuff like this. Second one is a Pyroclasm, it's deal 2 damage to each creature and each player actually, so you can even kill your opponent, fine. Now let's look at the list. Interesting moment, but sometimes people thinking about put this red mix of cards with squee without Survival Defeaters into blue and green Madness deck. I am actually not sure that it's a good decision, because in Madness, Survival Madness deck you have a lot of enablers for your discard cards like squee, and also you have two best of them. It's a Mongrel that can discard any number of squee each turn, and Survival Defeaters that transforms squee to tutor. It's really powerful, because if you will have not Mongrel, what you will do with squeeze in your hand? Swap Akumayoba 3 times per turn, it's not good to note. And also Survival helps you to find squee after the sideboard to resolve any stuff like Pyrokinesis. This one, because if you have not tutor that help you to find the squeeze, you can just put your hand with cards that you can't play. It's too risky, I think. But maybe if you use card like Merfolk Looter and will use squee to update your hand and make card advantages, fine, but anyway your late game will be not so cool as in the Survival Madness deck with Survival. Also, I didn't mention it, but in Survival decks people use cards like Bouncer with combination of Singleton from of Gilded Drake. Really cool combo. You can lock a lot of creature-oriented decks by stealing these creatures all the time. You play Drake, steal creature, return Drake to your hand. And repeat it just a lot of times. And also it's option to don't only search creatures that you see in Madness decks, but search creatures that your opponent will not want or will not believe to see in Madness deck, like Mysticore, something like this, or even creature combos from 2 or 3 creature cards with Phyrexian Welder, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember actually the name of card. One more interesting plus of this deck that I like, it's like my favorite budget old school decks. Yeah, you can start from a really budget build with even reprints. Yeah, when you can change your reprints with original old border card to have good flex on the Premodern events, and when you can buy the survival toolbox to make deck really more expensive. And in the case of Sly, you can use Sly without fetchlands and then update it for Sly with fetchlands. But Sly with fetchlands will be, of course, much more better than Sly without, and Sly without fetchlands like not so stable deck. Yeah, so fetchlands is important here. But Blue and Green Madness is still competitive and good deck, even without survival. It's fine. Thank you for watching this video up to the end. If you like it, please support me by leaving a comment, press the like button or subscribe to my channel. Also, you can join my Patreon and become a channel member on YouTube. Thank you again and have a nice day and have a nice game. Bye.